In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this modern wall hanging mirror. I had first heard about the Rockler Bentwood Challenge from the Modern Maker podcast, so if you haven't heard of it, you should go check it out. In the beginning of this build, I went to the Home Depot to get all of my supplies, including one 8-foot long piece of finished pine, a 28-inch mirror, and some connecting hardware. I started off by stripping away all of the materials from the mirror because all we really want is that piece of glass. I used a utility knife to scrape away the plastic trim, as well as remove some of the hot glue from the backing. After everything was cleaned off, I grabbed some dial calipers to get the thickness of the mirror. We'll use this thickness to determine the width of our dado slot for the wood that the mirror will rest in. This came in at about 1/8 of an inch thickness, and I knew that was the same thickness as my table saw blade, but just to make sure, I made a test piece to see if it fit snug. Once I was done cleaning off the mirror, I could proceed by cutting the dado slot into the wood. I set the depth of the blade about half the width of the board. If you have a table catcher or a friend, I'd recommend having one of them help you with a piece this long, as it can become quite dangerous to cut by yourself towards the end. Just be smart, unlike me. Here, you can see me making tick marks for all of my cuts, but after trial and error I discovered it's much easier to make your mark on your sled next to your blade at the same width. Then, you can just reference the mark and it turns out being much more precise. Cutting all these kerfs can be quite tedious, so take your time and make sure to go nice and slow with each cut. It was pretty cool seeing how flexible this wood became on such a long piece. It kind of reminds me of a giant Twizzler. I did a test fit with the mirror and bent the wood to see how much needed to be removed to make a right angle intersection. I started cutting some half flap joints at the width of the board. I'm doing this so the wood can lock together once the mirror is set in place. I used these connecting caps from Everbuilt to sandwich the wood together without having to glue anything up. Now when I'm drilling, I like to work my way up in drill bit diameter to help prevent any tear out from the wood. After this, you can set everything in place and then tighten down the hardware. Then, you can trim off the excess wood with a handsaw. For finishing, I sanded everything down by working my way up from 120 to 220 grit sandpaper. Make sure to be careful during this process as the wood fins are very fragile, but if you do happen to break off one of the fins, it's nothing a little Gorilla Glue can't fix. And if you're really crazy, you can inlay it with a piece of aluminum to give it a little gold tooth like A$AP Rocky. I then coated this piece with 2 coats of Wadco natural tung oil, making sure to lather the oil on heavy, waiting a few minutes, and then wiping off the excess with a clean cloth. When the tung oil was finished drying, I could come back and clean off the glass with some denatured alcohol. And after this, we're pretty much done. I really enjoyed this project from a design and building perspective, and I learned that not everything has to be perfect the first go around. Every design project is a learning experience and comes with its own specific set of challenges. This was a really fun challenge, and I'm super pumped with how it turned out. Special thanks to Benjamin Ueda, Chris Salamone, and Mike Montgomery from the Modern Maker podcast for the inspiration of this project, and for hosting the Rockler Bentwood Challenge. If you also like this video, please hit that subscribe button, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.